Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another review. This time we're looking at the Star Wars Black Series Book of Boba Fett show, Mandalorian aka Din Djarin. But before we look at the figure, let's just put him aside and take a quick look at the box as per usual. So it's your standard Black Series affair. It's colour green for the Book of Boba Fett, Glavis Ringworld. There is some nice art of Din on the side there wielding the dark saber. On the back it reads, after entrusting Luke Skywalker with Grogu's care, the Mandalorian, known to few as Din Djarin, sets off to learn more about the origins of his people. Nothing really on that side, and that's the box. And so here is the latest version of Din Djarin to grace the Black Series line, and overall I think it is a very nice figure. He looks absolutely beautiful. That silver armour is stunning and it's so reflective and it's just so nice. So having a look at him all zoomed in and in greater detail, it's a decent Mandalorian helmet. It's faithful to how it looks in the shows. You've got your T-visor there, completely silver all over. You've got the silver chest plate there. I forget actually what the specific clan name the armourer gives him and Grogu there, but you know, you've got the emblem marked on his right pauldron. You've got a kind of like a maroon bandolier going over which attaches to his utility belt there. It's all one piece and it's not removable in the slightest, and it kind of causes a bit of a complication when it comes to articulation, but I'll show that off later. But it looks nice is the thing. He comes with a removable jetpack which I'll show off in a second, and then he also comes with a cloth good cape, and I think this is one of the main differences between this version and some of the older versions. The older ones had like a solid plastic cape. It is kind of finicky in the fact that it does just go wherever it pleases. You can see though that the bottom of it is frayed and torn and all of that, and that's a really nice detail there. Really like that. Right, the jetpack, you can remove it. You just need to pull it out. It hooks in really securely, and yeah, it's your standard get up, nice and silver all over. I would have preferred it really if there would have been a little bit more in terms of colour going on here. It's probably accurate to how it is in the show, it being completely silver, but I could just have done with them like filling some of the gaps with like a darker grey or a black, just to make it pop a little bit more, just to make sure that all of the detail that's on there doesn't really get lost. But overall, it's a really nice sculpt. Looks very nice, and you can see it's a free prong attachment, and there are the associated peg holes in his back there, which, you know, you have to move this out of the way to get to. It's just it's a faff. It's a faff. I like the fact that it's a cloth good, but it's a faff. Right, and then we just push that in nice and securely. It's not going to come out without a good old tug. Then obviously we've got the belt with little explosives, I imagine, on there. You've got blue on the hips and you've got a blue on the kneecap guard here. And when I first saw this figure, I questioned it a little bit because I didn't recall him having blue on his armour in the show. I think it actually is accurate, but certainly the stock photos for the figure just made me go, I'm not sure I really like that, because the blue just looked far too bright to really complement the armour. But in person, actually, it looks decent. However, I think I would have still preferred it to have been like a darker grey rather than blue. I don't know, it's just the presence of blue mixed with the clashes of silver and the maroon. It just looks a little bit odd to me. But again, it's accurate to the show. He's got a holster there on that side, and then on this side here you can see I have the dark saber equipped. This figure, one of the main selling points for this figure for me was the fact that it came with a dark saber. Not to give it to Din at all, so I could give it to my Bo-Katan figure, because she is the true heir of Mandalore. And then looking toward the legs, you can see there are like ammo bits and bobs around the shin there. One fully brown boot, and then another which kind of has like a dark grey guard on it. And then he has a vibro blade, which I'll show off in a second, which you can store right there. Overall, really nice, nicely sculpted, nicely painted. It's just a stunning thing to have on your shelf. Right then, so when it comes to accessories, aside from the jetpack, Din comes with 3 extra things. He comes with his blaster pistol, which he's had since the beginning of the show, and it is nicely sculpted and detailed. You've got some good detail along the barrel, and then his the handle of the gun itself, if I can get zoomed in correctly, is a nice shade of brown there. And it can fit into his hand, or it can be holstered neatly away, and I'll show that off in a second. And then this was the main selling point for me. He comes with a Darksaber. He does have the blade. I'm just presenting it like this to show that you can detach the blade of the Darksaber like you can any standard lightsaber that comes with a Black Series figure. The Darksaber was never one for a lot of detail with the handle here. It is all just a plain black. And again, you can see there are rivets and all of that, little hand grip detail there and some little extra bits there. It's all accurate to how it is within the canon. And then the Darksaber blade itself is here. It's just black with white highlights along the edge. It just plugs in with a nice snap. And there you go, you've got a nice looking Darksaber, just like that. And then, last but not least, what we have here is a little vibro knife. And yeah, again, it's a tiny little thing. It's got plenty of detail for what it is. You've got some grooves along the blade itself, and then the handle does have some like lines going along the edge there where my nail is. For the size of it, you know, it's adequate, but it's interesting. But it comes with this, and it's like a really soft plastic, flexible. You're not going to hurt anyone with it, even if the end is slightly pointy, and I can feel that. But yeah, it's nice to have all of these things. It's a little bit of a pity that he doesn't come with anything else, like the holiday special kind of rifle that he had at the beginning of the series, but then I suppose he lost that. And, you know, like I would have liked the Beskar spear as well, but of course that changed. This is Din from the Book of Boba Fett, so he's got to come with what he actually had at the time. But maybe one day I'll be able to get all of those little extra bits and bobs and have him fully equipped with everything that he comes with. Now, with the holding and the storage of stuff, with the gun, of course, you saw him earlier. You can have him hold that in his right hand, and his hand is sculpted in a way that his forefinger will fit through the trigger like that. So that's wonderful. And then you can take that out and you can have that holstered just like that, nice and secure. It's not coming out. Now, with the vibro blade, it's kind of really too small for his hand there. You can see it's not really staying in. So that's a little bit of a pity, but you can store that nice and neatly in a little gap in his right boot, just like that. Make sure it's just pushed in nicely, and it's not going to be coming out anytime soon either. And then with the Darksaber, you know, he can hold it. I don't present my Din Djarin holding the Darksaber because, like I said, I give it to Bo-Katan. But he can hold that really nicely in his right hand, and I think it is more suitable for his right hand because his left, again, I think his palm is open too much to really hold anything. But yeah, you've got that going on there, and you can make some good poses with him. And then for storage on there, as we showed earlier, if you just disconnect the blade, catch him before he falls, and then there is a little hook just there on his belt. There is a hoop on the end of the Darksaber hilt, and you can just hook that nice and safely on there. When it comes to articulation, Din Djarin here has plenty. So you can see he's quite posable from the offset. And if we take a look then, his head is capable of 360 rotation. It's not hindered by anything, which is really nice to see. It can look up about that far, and it can look down if you get the bandolier out of the way sufficiently. And it's more evident if you have his head at an angle as you do so. So good head articulation. In terms of the arms, he can, in theory, achieve a good range of motion. He can move them up that far and back that far. The shoulder pads do move out of the way to accommodate. He can move his arms out that far. He has 360 swivel at the elbow and a 90-degree bend at the elbow too. His wrists, this is a case of where the wrist articulation is different on each one. So on his right hand, they can move up and down like so, and on this one, in and out not up and down. It's to accommodate things like the gun or the Darksaber, whichever one you want to put him with. Now, I said earlier that the bandolier kind of does hinder articulation to a degree, and it's really to do with the torso. So he can do kind of like a limbo. If I just try and get him like that, he can do a limbo of about that much like that, and then ab crunch rise, he can't really do a lot. I mean, that's kind of because of his Beskar armor like that, but it is also the fact that the bandolier and the belt really do prevent his full range of articulation. Like, I think if he didn't have this on here, he would be able to bend back a whole lot more, because he does have your usual kind of torso articulation in there. So much so, like waist articulation also. In theory, he should be able to do more than that, but it's the bandolier stopping him from doing it. And if I try and do that, then he can move ever so slightly more, but really not by much. He's really hindered by it, unfortunately. So that's a little bit of a shame, and also that just gets in the way. Right, so moving on down, he's got the ball jointed hips, which is common with Black Series now. Forward kick about that far that way, and then realistic back, aka not really anything at all. In terms of a spread, he's got a decent spread, just like that. That just fell off. These hip pieces don't really move, so they kind of just get caught like that. He does have thigh rotation like that, so he can do 360 there. He's got just over 90 degrees of bend at the knee. He's got 360 knee rotation as well, even with his vibroblade pegged in there. And at the ankles, he's got your tilt-judging rockers as per usual. So overall articulation is pretty good, but it is just hampered a little bit by just the mould and what he is, what he has on him. Overall, it's good though. For comparisons then, here is our Din Djarin figure next to Bo-Katan, the rightful owner of the Darksaber. Here he is next to Bo-Katan's loyal night owl Koska Reeves. Here he is next to Mandalorian artist and Jedi apprentice Sabine Wren. Here he is with Sabine's master and his friend in her younger years, Ahsoka Tano. And then finally, here he is with Marvel Legends Mysterio. So that has been our look at the Black Series Book of Boba Fett version of The Mandalorian, aka Din Djarin. I think it is a very beautiful figure. He looks stunning. The silver Beskar armor really pops. He's a beauty. Articulation also is your standard, it's very good. However, I just find it hampered quite a lot by the bandolier especially. And, you know, the cape, it's nice for it to be a cloth good, but it doesn't half get in the way of things. But, you know, overall, it's a really good figure. He comes with some wonderful accessories. I love the fact that he's got a Darksaber. You know, just so I can give it to a different figure, but still, I like the fact that he's got it. I think it would have been improved if they'd have found a way to give him a removable helmet. As it stands, there is no Pedro Pascal head underneath there. You can't take it off at all. So that's a little bit of a shame. But then again, Din hasn't taken off his helmet since the finale of season 2. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense, but it would have been a nice touch. Overall, I do recommend this figure. I think he looks really nice. He has some wonderful accessories, posability is great, and he's just an overall good time. So absolutely, if you pick up any version of The Mandalorian, why not go for this one? It's the most up-to-date version, and he's just stunning. So thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this review. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.